Hey Oilers fans, welcome into your first round playoff preview of the 2022 ECHL Kelly Cup playoffs for the Oilers. Oilers coming in at the fourth spot in the Mountain Division, meaning they will take on the regular season Mountain Division champion in the Utah Grizzlies in the first round. A series that's been very close throughout the year, through the 8 games. The Oilers going 500 on the dot, and then of course Utah coming away with 9 points versus the Oilers 8 points in that. But you had mentioned it, in a great article that you wrote up, the fact that the Oilers have outshot and outscored Utah in that series.
Yeah, it's just about being opportunistic in the postseason, right? I mean, this is a Utah Grizzlies team that was a bit more opportunistic in their chances at the net. Now, adding to that effect is certainly players like Dastu that they'll have in the lineup. Mason Manick has been very opportunistic for the Grizzlies. I think they're kind of an enigma of a team, and that's why this series is going to be so much fun. Yes, they're the Mountain Division champs, but the Oilers have played them well. Manella's only played in 4 out of 8 games that we saw here this season against the Grizzlies. I would find it hard for the Grizzlies to beat him consistently in a 7-game series. Nobody's really done it. In fact, I believe only 2 times this year Manella's lost 4 out of a 7 span in starts this season. I mean, he's dominated in that regard as far as not allowing losses to pile up. And he's going to be a tough goaltender to face. I don't care who you have on that power play. Now, another thing to add, too, is the reason why this Utah team's an enigma. They don't have a great penalty kill. And that could be opportunistic for an Oilers power play that's been ramping up a bit.
Yeah, the Oilers' power play has been good, of course, scoring goals in the last 2 games of this season, closing down the final stretch of the 15 games, able to pick up power play goals in 11 of them, which is huge, especially when you look at the production at the very beginning of the season, even all the way up until the last 20 games of the campaign. First 50 games of the season, power play was struggling, but it's really clicking here now with the new personnel. Of course, John Fratelli, a big reason for that, working the right point. Gareffa typically kind of found down in the corner and wheels his way around the zone, and then you take a look at a guy like Max Golod since coming down here. He's had a lot of success in the man advantage.
Yeah, I think the power play obviously plays a massive role in a postseason. It's such a small room for error. If you can win that special teams battle against your opponent in the first round, you can go leaps and bounds as far as finding a way to score and to win hockey games. And I think one thing that's added to this power play for the Oilers that they maybe didn't have at the beginning was their mobility on the power play. They have a little bit more versatility to move the puck and bodies at the same time. John Fratelli's in addition to that at the top of the point. Doogie Lagrone's played a great role in that at times as well. And Gareffa, the guy can stick handle in a phone booth, and he can also skate literally half-board to half-board and find a way to create plays. He's just that good.
Of course, Joe Gareffa also having a fantastic Oilers debut. He made his debut with the team against Utah, had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. He's obviously not slowed down since then, winning a Player of the Week, not just nomination, award outright since then. And then you look at Utah as a team. They have a good blue line when it comes to producing points. Obviously, the top guy on that's Dastu. He's got 26 goals on the year. But you also got guys like Klerman and as well as Martin. They have some guys that can really bring the heat. Miles Gendron will play defense and forward depending on what they need. Same with Joey Colatarsi, although I wouldn't put him in the same category as those other players. But at the same time, they have a lot of oomph from the back end. Of course, Matthew Boucher, he's not on their playoff roster. The Oilers didn't see him all year. He was struggling on and off with injuries or being up in Colorado. And so to not see him, the reigning ECHL Rookie of the Year until the other day when Chris Bennett took the title, he's a fantastic guy that they're going to have to figure out a way to score without. But they've done a pretty good job of it this year.
Yeah, I mean, Utah's a team that has speed, right? I mean, that's not necessarily something they lack, but Boucher, he just added so much of that, and to not have to deal with that through the neutral zone is going to be huge. I think on the flip side, what we talked about a little bit was the idea of Golod and Gareffa. Having to contain those guys through the neutral zone in transition, Utah's going to have to solve that. It's something that since the Oilers have had both of them in the lineup, have really been able to add to their arsenals, their ability to get out of their own zone. You don't have to chip it up off the wall as often when you've got guys that can just fly by you, and it's going to add a ton. I mean, Gareffa's a guy that's got 5 points in a game. He's had 4 points in a game. You add that along with the rookie scoring. We've seen that at Jack Darimas this year. It's just been incredible. The rookies have really stepped up for this Oilers team this year in a lot of big ways, and it's not necessarily something we saw a ton of last year.
Yeah.
And it just it kind of adds a different dynamic, right? I mean, you've got guys that now you have to put in a playoff series for the first time ever and hope that you get that production out of it. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. I guess you could say one of the silver linings of that is a lot of the rookies that are on this team played in the SPHL last year with the bubble rules in the ECHL. A lot of them playing for Pensacola and winning a championship. And we've heard it from Murr before. It doesn't matter what league you're playing in, what level. Winning a championship is the ultimate goal, and it does take a lot to find there. But I think these teams are very different as well. You look at them. The Oilers you have a lot of reliance on rookie scoring. On top of that, a lot of depth scoring, a lot of points distributed throughout the lineup. And a lot of even ice time overall. Murr likes rolling 3 lines, and obviously he'll play the hot hand a little bit more. But it's not something that you look into a game and think, wow, this team has played 3 shifts every one. Utah is the opposite way. You'll see Doss Stu out there for at least 30 minutes of the game on the back end, if not more. And Benjamin Tardif, as a forward, I don't think I've ever seen a forward take up that much ice time in the ECHL. He definitely plays more than 20 minutes. I would say somewhere around that 22 to 25 minute mark every night. And sometimes he'll double shift on lines, which is really rare to see at the pro level. So he'll be a player that has to be kept in check as well.
Yeah, and one way you can keep a player like him in check is to utilize players like Jimmy Soper and Alex Crom. I mean, these are guys that can really wear a team down over the course of a series, right? Maybe not just one game, but over the course of a series. Jimmy Soper brings that tenacity to his game that allows him to be really effective on the forecheck, even in on the back check. He brutalizes guys in the corners, and you're going to have to bring that. Tanner Lashinsky, I think, is a guy that's picked that up a lot here as of late, finishing his checks, and you can wear a team down like that. If they're going to get a lot of ice time, you got to make them pay for it for sure, and the Oilers have been able to diversify not only their ice time but their scoring in that regard. So it's sort of a pick and choose your battle, whoever you're going up against out there if you're Utah, because the Oilers can bring it from different areas without a doubt. Of course, we can't forget Adam Pleskach. You go back to the 18-19 season, the last time the Oilers made the playoffs, he came off of a regular season that we've never seen out of Pleskach. 75 points, 38 goals, a career high. And that
led the league in goals.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so he's going to be a guy, without a doubt, that has been in a situation like this, with the pressure on him being a Mountain Division champ back in 18-19 and working it all the way to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. So I think the chips are in the hands of Adam Pleskach.
And I think that kind of leads into this next point of, when Murr makes a team, the playoffs were an entirely different season. Once you're in, I don't care what team has home ice advantage, and all of that jazz. Once you're in, it's an entirely new season with standings that have completely reset, in my opinion, and they only matter in best of 7s at a time. And I think the Oilers are a team that have been built maybe for the playoffs. If you look at how they play, they outwork a lot of their opponents. I think that maybe the two of the most dangerous teams out of the West are Rapid City and the Oilers because of how hard they work. And I think the Mountain Division, I think the series, both series start off could go either way for either team. You look at Allen with Rapid City. Allen may be a little bit more skilled overall, more experienced, but then you look at that Rapid City team that works hard. And then with Utah, maybe a little bit more top-end talent. And you look at guys like Doss Stu, he won Defenseman of the Year. And Tardif was on the first all-rookie team along with Doremus, of course, as well. And you look at the top-end skill there, but the Oilers have the depth over them, and something that needs to continue, that in most of the games down the last final stretch, especially the month and a half here, Oilers are winning their face-offs. In the playoffs, it's probably more important than the regular season to make sure you're winning your face-offs. Teams kind of like to feel each other out early on and jump on opportunities. The more possession you have, the less opportunity you give to other teams to maybe try and poke and prod and find some weaknesses.
Yeah, head coach Rob Murray mentioned it. It sounds obvious, but when you say it out loud, it really shows how impactful it is. You're only winning 30% of your faceoffs. You're chasing the puck 70% of the time right out of the gate, and so that's going to be huge, especially with the way that they can carry the puck. The Grizzlies are fantastic in their transition game. They're really good when they have the puck in the zone. They can create a lot. And this has been a series this year where a ton of goals have hit the back of the net, right? So I think the goaltending matchup is going to be huge here. Whoever Utah goes with, they've got a couple of options for sure, to say the least, in addition, coming down as well. And Manella, you may solve him one time, but it's tough to solve that guy on a back-to-back scenario. He's about as tough as it gets coming off of a loss. So don't let Manella get hot if you're Utah, because he's going to be maybe the toughest guy to beat in the entire league. He has more wins than anybody.
Yeah, he's a goaltender that when he's on, and he brings you the ability to win every single night, especially outside of a very few amount of games this year. We saw him pulled the other night, and we talked with head coach Rob Murray about that. Just he mentioned to himself he had to be better. Well, the next night he came out, and he certainly was. He picked up a shutout that ended up giving the Oilers a playoff berth. And you look across the way, Trent Miner's a goaltender that if you can score on him early, it seems that you can rattle him. Maybe not rattle him, but you can get him off his game if you find pucks in the back of the net early. But he did end up leading the league in shutouts despite spending a decent chunk of the season up in Colorado. Peyton Jones is a goaltender the Oilers have had a lot of success against. So we've seen 2 of these 3 goaltenders so far this year. Miner actually picked up one of his shutouts against Tulsa. The last time these teams played, when Ryan Ruck was in the net, it was a 1-0 game. Both goaltenders played out of their minds, and Miner just came away winning the W and the shutout at the very last second. But you look at him, he is going to be a big difference maker for Utah. If he is the Trent Miner that picked up 6 shutouts during the season, then you're going to be really struggling to find the back of the net. If he's the goaltender that the Oilers have chased twice in his career, then you might have a bit of a better chance, but it just really depends on what you're getting, and the earlier you can find the puck at the back of the net, the better. We've seen that with this team, of course, especially if they can get 2 quick goals right off the hop.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at the last time these 2 teams faced each other, it was a 3-game set in Utah. The Oilers took 2 out of 3 on the road. It was a little bit of a shootout, though, on occasions. So other than the 1-0 win, for the Grizzlies, you don't want to necessarily get into that type of game. I think if you're the Oilers, if you can win those 3-2, 2-1 games here in this series, that plays well into the favor of the Oilers with the way that they can control the puck throughout a game. And at the same time, we've had a lot of milkshakes this year.
Yes.
So this is an Oilers team this year has totally turned it around in the goal scoring department. A half goal per game jump. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a massive jump for the Oilers last year to this year. And it's because they've diversified that scoring. Everybody's a threat when they're out there, when the lines are clicking like Murray has them.
Yep, the Oilers and the Grizzlies. No other series this season has seen more 1-goal games for the Oilers, kicking off this Friday night, April 22nd in West Valley City, Utah, opening 2 games at the Grizzlies Arena Maverick Center in West Valley City, Utah, the home of the 2002 Winter Olympics. Then the Oilers will come back here for at least 2 games on Tuesday and Wednesday, the potential to play on Thursday, and then heading back to close out the week with the final 2 games in Utah if necessary. It should be a great one, and obviously need the fans out in full force on Tuesday, Wednesday, and potentially Thursday.
Yeah, no doubt. Remember those road games, 8:10 Central Time starts. Certainly tune in for the 7:05 starts as well. If you can't be in the building, we'll have those pre-games rolling on Mixlr and Flow Sports, and the first round is here. It's about that time.
Absolutely. We'll be live 20 minutes before the game each and every night we play in the playoffs, home or away. This will be the first round. Let's get ready to defend the rig, everybody.